Hello, my name's Rebecca and I'm the Director for Engagement and Communities at Arts Council England. In this short video, my colleague Sarah and I are going to be telling you what our Creative People and Places programme 26 to 29 is all about, including things you might want to think about before applying. Hopefully it'll help you answer any questions you might have and inform your conversation with others who might be part of your partnership or consortium application. We're especially keen that community and voluntary groups in the eligible places get to hear about this opportunity. And I hope some of you are watching this. And if you are, welcome to Arts Council England. But if any of you watching know of community groups or partners who might be interested, do let them know and encourage them to take a look. We know that not everyone will be familiar with Arts Council England or might not feel this kind of session is for them, but we genuinely do want to reach as many people as we can, so please do share. The guidance document for Creative People and Places is now on the Arts Council England website. This is the document that sets out how the programme works and what you need to do. Later this year, the application platform, or the portal, as some people call it, opens. But before you start applying, you need to look at the guidance, find partners, and talk to us about your application. This presentation is an opportunity to find out more about the programme, and it's aimed at those of you who might be interested in coming together as a consortium to make an application to this fund. Now, by its nature, we can't cover everything in as much detail as the guidance, so it's really important you have a look at that as well as watch this video. So what are we going to cover? In this session, we'll tell you more about the background and our vision for CPP. We'll highlight some of the key criteria and things you need to think about. We'll touch on eligible places. We'll also be sharing throughout some of the important things about Creative People and Places that you'll need to consider as you develop your application. Now, I'm going to start by saying a little bit about the background of CPP, as I'm going to call it throughout because it's quicker, to give you a sense of where it came from and what we're trying to achieve. We hope we'll answer a lot of your questions, but if not, you can speak to us after August the 4th and we'll try and answer anything else. When we started Creative People and Places just over 10 years ago, it represented quite a different approach for Arts Council England. At that time, we had a goal that everyone should have the opportunity to experience and be inspired by arts, museums and libraries. But the evidence told us that some people appeared to be engaging very little in arts and culture. Now, that could be for a variety of reasons. It might be that the offer wasn't right, or people were doing things we weren't aware of, or a host of other reasons. We wanted to address this, but also to understand what works in different places to engage people in arts and culture, and then share that learning. For that reason, we made CPP an action research programme, encouraging people to do things differently, to try new approaches, and maybe take a few risks. We made the programme only open to the least engaged places, and we used evidence to determine where those were. Now, this was based on the best evidence we had in terms of patterns of engagement. And in the beginning, it was the Active People Survey, and we're now using something called the Active Lives Survey. And we've also now included Arts Council's priority places as well. You can find out more about all of those on our website. I'm conscious that throughout this presentation, we refer to places as less engaged because that's the terminology of the survey. And we recognise, though, that people may well have been engaging, but just in things we weren't aware of. We're also uncomfortable with the term hard to reach because sometimes it's more that people have been easy to ignore, and we want to change that. In the previous round, we funded 38 programmes covering 55 local authority areas. And there have been at least 15 million engagements to date, most of them from people in so-called low to medium engaged groups. And in 2012, we launched a new strategy called Let's Create, and it builds very much on some of the learning that has come out of CPP. You can see that on our website, and I'd advise you to take a look before you put in any applications. It talks about things like creative people and cultural communities, as well as inclusion and relevance, things that are all very much at the heart of creative people and places. Empowering the public to shape the programme is fundamental to creative people and places. And this approach isn't something that all artists, curators, or producers feel comfortable with. But in successful creative people and places, we'll be supporting those that want to work in partnership with the community. We don't expect this to happen overnight, but we are looking for an authentic commitment to this. Clearly, we want more people from those places to experience arts and culture on their terms. But we also want people to have the very best of whatever it is they decide to go for. So when we talk about excellence, we're clearly referring to both the process of engaging the community and the product or content, whatever that happens to be. Collaboration and partnerships are crucial, and we'll be looking for a range of partners, including the public, community, voluntary, amateur, private. What will give us the best chance of reaching the widest range of people? Current programmes include rugby clubs, housing associations, food banks, football clubs, health partners. So you can see it's not necessarily the usual people we work with. CPP takes an asset-based approach, and that means taking an approach where local assets and individual strengths or community strengths are key, as opposed to focusing on the perceived deficits and externally identified needs. You can find out more about that in the guidance and have a look at our FAQs. There'll be more detail there. This is a learning programme, so we encourage people to try new approaches, to take calculated risks and freely share what they've learnt. The funding is for 3 years, but we know change takes time, so we're asking for a 10-year vision. Creative People and Places is one strand of our national portfolio. It's a key part of the cultural infrastructure, helping us deliver Let's Create. And future funding allowing, it will be part of an ongoing cycle in a similar way to funded organisations. The programme is driven by 3 key questions, and as on this slide, and essentially, are more people from all kinds of backgrounds engaging in creativity and culture, and what's effective in achieving this? How can we ensure excellence, and what are we learning? We've tried to keep it simple, and those questions drive our primary evaluation of the programme. Establishing a local CPP is resource and time intensive, and you need to really ensure you allow sufficient time to engage and involve local people in the planning and or in the delivery process. In line with an asset-based approach, it's vital not to impose preconceived value judgments as to what's most important to any particular community. We haven't overloaded the programme with lots of other social outcomes that you might sometimes find attached to programmes like this. We want the programme to be arts and culture led and for the community to decide where the focus should be. And we trust that many good outcomes will follow anyway if it's doing its job. We do pick up on other things emerging from the programme and explore them. For example, social mobility, well-being, economic impact. And sometimes I think those other outcomes are all the stronger for that because we aren't looking to operate a deficit model. Mechanisms for sharing learning between funded projects are important. Have a look at our CPP learning pages on the website if you haven't already. There's lots of case studies and films and learning on there. The national nature of this programme has also helped us to significantly raise the profile of this type of work and approach. The best partnerships are locally relevant, flexible and responsive. And we've noticed that CPP demands a type of leadership that is definitely not the artist as guru, but one that is about empowering and supporting others. There's also something emerging about ensuring the programmes have leaders who share the values of the programme. I think it's fair to say that the existing CPP programmes are all at different stages of empowering the public, but all of them are on that journey. And the best examples do this authentically. We're looking for programs that respond to the demographic in their area and bring together the broadest range of people. So we anticipate a wide range of consortia partners across the program. So think about who's active and connected with communities in your place. We already mentioned who the current Creative People and Places program of work with, like housing associations and food banks. So it's really important to look beyond the usual suspects. We want to encourage partnerships across the subsidised, amateur, voluntary and commercial sectors. We've learned from the existing programme, it's really important to have a clear lines of accountability between the delivery team and the governance of a CPP, because it's difficult to hold yourself to account if you're both on the governing body of a CPP, but also delivering. So we've made it clear that we need a distinction between these. Consortium members could deliver aspects of a programme, but that would be by exception and be subject to a conflict of interest test. The monitoring and data we have on CPP has been very powerful in evidencing what the programme has achieved on a national as well as a local level. Creative People and Places is an action research project, and that means we require all funded projects to actively take part in gathering and submitting data about the people they're reaching and submitting them in an agreed format to Arts Council England and our evaluators on a quarterly basis. And successful Creative People and Places projects should be able to demonstrate at application stage that they'll have the capacity to carry out these monitoring requirements in a timely fashion. The other thing to highlight is that successful applicants will be expected to take part in the Arts Council's funded peer learning network. Now, I can't see why anyone wouldn't want to do it, but we do need to flag it at this point. It's been so important in raising the profile of the programme and sharing learning, and many of you will see that on the CPP learning pages on the website. We want applicants to consider what assets the place or community already hold and how you might engage with these. And I suppose that, again, is about ensuring we're not taking a deficit model and building on the strengths that exist. And crucially, we want people to have a taste of the broadest range of cultural and creative opportunities to inform their choices. So think about how you could go about that. So that's it from me. I'm now going to hand over to Sarah. Sarah.
Hello. I'm now going to be talking about eligible places and some of the criteria, as well as the process for applying and the timeline. So the first question to consider is, are you an eligible place? We've used the Active Live survey to identify eligible places. We've also made all of our priority places eligible for this round. In total, there are 142 eligible places. Whilst they're all eligible, it's worth noting that 55 places already have CPP activity happening in them. On the map, the green areas are those places that are already covered by CPP activity, and the orange ones are the other eligible places in England. Whilst we'd love to fund everyone, CPPs that are already funded are of course not guaranteed future funding, as this is an open and competitive round, subject to the limitations of the available budget and the quality of applications. The other thing we should say is that we are aware there have been some boundary changes in a few instances. If this affects you, you'll know who you are, but for the purposes of clarity, we'll be sticking to the data set as set out on our website. We also put more information about this on our frequently asked questions section. We're encouraging organisations to sign up to our register of interest, stating which places they are interested in delivering activity. And we intend to publish and update this at intervals with permission, so people can make contact with each other if they're interested in the same place. We'd much rather receive one single application from a place submitted by a strong partnership of organisations than multiple applications from one place. You can access the register of interest on our website, and even if you signed up previously, you would need to sign up to that again. This slide shows how many eligible places there are in each of the Arts Council areas and what the landscape currently looks like. You can see there are significantly more eligible and funded places in the North and in the Midlands. For detail of the specific eligible places, please look on our website under eligible places list. But this gives you an idea of the numbers of places in different parts of the country. Applications must be from a partnership of organisations, which we are calling a consortium. We suggest there are about 4 to 5 core members of a consortium maximum. It's worth saying that the consortium isn't a delivery consortia, such as you might find in other programmes, but it's much more about the governance of the programme and they oversee it. We want to emphasise this because some people come together thinking that they're going to also do the delivery of the whole programme, but we expect CPPs to put an independent team in place to do that. We've learned it's important to manage expectations here. One organisation applies on behalf of the whole consortium. Organisations can only be named as core consortium members within one consortium proposal, within one application. Not all consortium members have to be based in the place that they are applying to cover, but they must be committed to attending and engaging with the programme and its governance, as well as sharing the core values of the programme. All consortia must include at least one arts and/or cultural organisation and at least one community and/or grassroots organisation. For the purposes of this programme, a grassroots community organisation is a non-art or cultural volunteer-led organisation. Where there's no grassroots community organisation on the consortium, there must be a demonstrable mechanism for the community to shape the programme. We thought it was important to just share a note about local authorities. Local authorities are not eligible to be a lead applicant. We work closely with local authorities often and with very good relationships, but we see them as being on the same side of the fence as us. Many have been very supportive in terms of the development of applications or investment in CPP programmes, but given the nature of the programme, we want it to be as close to the community as possible and as arts and culture led as possible, with the requisite level of independence. If you are looking to expand an existing CPP to an additional area, you can apply for this where it makes sense. For example, if there's a geographical link. You would need to include community representation from the new place on any existing consortium, and for this to be supported by all consortium members. And just a note on individuals. Individuals cannot be consortium members. Everyone on the consortium needs to be a representative of a wider organisation. We hope to announce the final budget for the programme in autumn when the application platform opens. You can apply for between £750,000 and £1 million, but do think carefully about your population numbers and what might represent value for money, without assuming you should come in at the very top end. We will take population numbers and value for money into account in our assessment of your application. Please note the 15% partnership funding requirement. Details of what this can consist of are in the guidance, but it can include both cash and in-kind support. In the guidance, we talk about the introductory conversation and what that will cover, so do look at that. You need to have booked your introductory conversation by December the 9th at the latest, and it needs to have happened by December the 19th. You can book anytime from August the 5th. It's important to know you need to do this by appointment with named people in your local office. It wouldn't be a case of just phoning up. You need to call our inquiries who will help you to book. We also have a grant management system called Grantium. Some people will be familiar with this and have a profile already set up, but for those of you who are new to it, you need to set up a profile which then gets approved, and this allows you to make an application. You could start setting up your Grantium profile immediately, and do note it takes up to 10 days for profiles to be approved. And just a few pointers on the timeline. Please ensure that you read the guidance in full. This is a relatively short presentation and we can't cover everything. Most information will be in the guidance or in the FAQs, which we start to put on the website over time. We'll also try and update these as we get more questions. We've published the guidance in advance of the application portal opening in September in order to give people more time to build partnerships and keep talking to each other. The application portal opens from September the 12th to January the 16th, 2025. We have a number of stages in our decision-making process. Each application that's made will be assessed by one of our relationship managers. Those assessments will then go on to a national balancing panel who will make recommendations as to which application should be taken forward to interview. We let applicants know either way whether they're going to be invited to interview or not. The interviews will take place for 2 weeks between July the 7th and July the 18th, 2025. Full details are in the guidance. This is where we explore aspects of your application further. Final recommendations as to who to fund will be made following the interview and will be based on the application, the assessment, and the interview together. So if you think the CPP programme is something for you, you might want to start to talk to other people in your area who are interested in applying. You'll have your own ways of doing this, but we also set up the Register of Interest to help you find those partners. So do sign up. We'll update it once a week. We thought it would be useful for people interested in the same place to have an opportunity to connect, to share intelligence and what's already going on who is out there, and perhaps consider a few questions together. We've put these questions up on this slide as prompts or a guide, but of course, if there are other things you want to cover that aren't on this list, it's up to you. The key thing to remember is that this is about empowering community and people in a place shaping their own cultural experiences. After August the 5th, and once you've read the guidance and FAQs, do feel free to get in touch with us via customer inquiries with further questions. So before we finish, just a few next steps that will hopefully be helpful. Do read the guidance. Most of the information you need should be in there. Look at the FAQs on our website. Speak to others and build your partnerships. Register your interest in the programme on our website. Book your introductory conversation after August the 5th. And note the midday deadline for applying on January the 16th. I'll just hand back to Rebecca to say goodbye.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, all of you, for watching. And please do pass on information and alert other people you think might be interested in this. We think it's a great programme, and we hope you get a glimpse of that from some of the images we've been sharing here. It can really make a difference, and sometimes even change people's lives and the places in which they live. And that's because of people like you watching. So we're really looking forward to reading your applications, and we just want to say good luck to everyone, and thank you again.